Hello people of the internet, this is Kaiju Noir, here with the last review of movies I watched in 2012. And what better way to end that year than with a review for Django Unchained. Django Unchained is the latest film to be directed by Quentin Tarantino and is a remake in name only of a 1966 spaghetti western film, Django. This makes the new movie the latest in a long line of unofficial remakes and sequels to the original. Django Unchained is the story of a slave named Django Freeman, played by Jamie Foxx, who is freed by a German bounty hunter named Dr. King Schultz, played by Christoph Waltz, who agrees to help him live a life of freedom if Django can help him locate and kill several criminals who happen to be his former owners. After being trained the ways of the bounty hunter and eventually taking revenge on the slave owners, Schultz decides to willingly help Django free his wife Broomhilda, played by Kerry Washington, from one of the most wealthiest plantation owners of the South, Calvin J. Candy, played by Leonardo DiCaprio. Whether or not you're a fan of Tarantino's films, you have to admit that he has a very distinctive style when it comes to his movies. This was definitely the case with Django Unchained, as right from the get-go we have an old-school opening sequence with a Django theme playing in the background. This immediately got my attention and pulled me into this movie. Cinematic techniques like scrolling texts and quick zoom-ins and outs give a sense of nostalgia and make the movie really feel like a western from the 60s. When it came to the action, it is gloriously violent. The movie's action scenes are so violent and so well made that it makes the film just as violent, if not more so, than Dread. If you're the kind of person who enjoys crazy death scenes in movies, then you're gonna have the same reactions that I had from the shootout scene near the end. Now, one element of the movie that audiences might be uncomfortable with is the treatment of African American characters in this movie. I feel that many will complain about the overuse of the N-word and claim that the violence towards the slaves is over-exaggerated. Even if the cruelty towards the slaves is historically inaccurate, I think that the treatment of African Americans works within the context of this world that Tarantino has created. Plus, you do see many of these slave owners get their comeuppance in classic revenge movie tradition. The story is quite simple and gives the characters more time to develop. My favorite character by far was Schultz. His dialogue was simply amazing, as he brings so much charm and elegance to everything he does, even when it comes to mercilessly killing his targets. He's without a doubt one of the coolest characters I've seen in 2012, right up there with Gandalf from The Hobbit and the Hulk from The Avengers. Jamie Foxx succeeds as the soft-spoken but vengeful Django. Near the middle of the film, the story of Siegfried and the dragon Fafnir is brought up to draw parallels between the legendary knight and Django. Like Siegfried, he really succeeds at being the selfless and determined hero that he is. This little reference really does show that you can take the oldest of stories and archetypes and bring them to life in a new setting and situation. Candy is a great villain for this film, as he is Schultz's equal as well as his opposite. He is just as charming, resourceful, and charismatic, but is very selfish and goes to great lengths to prevent anyone from making a fool out of him. In terms of side characters, my favorite has to be Samuel L. Jackson as Candy's loyal head slave, Stefan. Like always, Samuel L. Jackson just steals the show once he enters the frame, and makes for a very intimidating and highly entertaining secondary villain. I already had high expectations going in to see Django Unchained, but I never knew this movie would be this goddamn excellent. The dialogue, the action, the music, the story, and especially the characters are all brilliant, and I have a feeling I will be watching this movie again and again for years to come. Some may feel uncomfortable with the film's portrayal of slavery and the treatment of said slaves, but in my perspective, I saw this as a cross between a western and an action revenge film with a hint of 70s blaxploitation, so I think the film's subject matter works within the styles of those genres. If you're still bothered by it, then I understand, but for me, this is one movie that's definitely worth a 5 out of 5. Until next time everybody, take care.